Hello friends, welcome to the today's lecture of Star Pro for fresh civil engineers. In the last video we have discussed about the adding support conditions as well as assigning these support conditions at different nodal points. Now in today's video we are going to discuss the different type of loads and assigning these loads to the structure. So let's begin with that. Starting with Start Pro. So mainly this grid is there. Now I am switching off the grid view. Let's add one beam over here. So first of all the node coordinates. Let's say the length of the beam is 10 meter. Okay. So now after adding this node, let's join this beam by adding the beam over here. Okay. Considering the front view of this beam. Right. Now if you want to add some intermediate node points to this beam, here by right clicking over here, select the beam, click right, and there will be option of insert node. When you click on this insert node, if you want to add a midpoint over here, so then you can add a midpoint at this point, that is here. So now midpoint is get added and this beam is get divided into two parts, that is first and the second, and the node number of this beam is said to be node number 3. Right. So here in this way also, if you want some new points on the beam, that also you can add by specifying the distance over here. Let's say suppose 2 meter distance, add new point. So here you can see at a distance of 2 meter a node point is get added on the beam. Right. Now next, considering the general condition, let's assign the property. So here we are considering the rectangular section. Let's say the depth is 0.3 meter and width is 0.3 meter. Let's add this section, close. So assigning this section to the selected beam, let's assign this section to whole, assign to selected beam, assign, yes. Okay, so this section is get assigned to here. Next, let's add the support condition. So creating the support over here as a simple support, add. Now to assign this support, I am selecting this node cursor and I am adding this to first, assign, yes, then the last load point. So I am adding the support to these points. Right. Up till this now we have completed in the previous lecture. Now let's start with the next point, that is load and definition. So considering here the load and definition tab, see load is very important over here. Now when you are clicking on this load and definition, here the tab or the window is get displayed in which there are three options: definition, load case details and load envelopes. So in that one you have to click on this load case details and select the add. So here load number 1, now loading type is mentioned, different type of loads will be provided over here like dead load, live load, roof, live, wind, then seismic, snow. Okay, so now let's selecting this dead load, give the title to this as DL, that is nothing but the dead load. So add over there. Next, one more load condition where I add here, that is live load. So LL, okay, add, then close. So now further in dead load, select dead load, click on add. So here this window is get displayed on the screen, in which you can add over here the self weight, then the nodal load, then the member load, similarly floor load, plate load, surface load. So different type, even the temperature load, different type of loads will be available over here. So you have to define those loads. Normally in case of multi-storied building or any structure, every member is having its self weight. So here by considering this self weight also, you can add that self weight. Now here let's add the self weight to the beam also, considering the factor as a -1 in global y direction, add. Now let's select the member load. Now on the beam, here when I am selecting member load, different options will be open over here, that is uniform force, uniform movement, Uniform force means nothing but the uniformly distributed load. Then uniform movement. Concentrated force means nothing but the point load. Then linearly varying load, trapezoidal load. When you are clicking on these options here, it should be in terms of pictorial format also. Then hydrostatic load, then fixed end loads. So likewise different type of loads are provided. Now let's add the uniform force. So considering a 10 kilonewton per meter load is acting vertically in downward direction. So as I am selecting vertically downward direction, so while defining this load you have to write as a -10 in global y direction and get add over here. Then I will add one more load like concentrated force. Let's say a load of 20 kilonewton. Again this load is also acting in downward direction, so -20 add. Okay, so when I am selecting this add, you can see over here these loads are get added in the dead load category, right? Close. Now live load, again I am selecting here live load, considering it as a member load. Here considering the uniform force, let's say -5 kilonewton per meter load is acting as a live load. Close. Right. Now next is assigning these loads to the members. So first of all, self weight. Now self weight is the load which is assigned, or all the members are having its own self weight. If self weight is neglected, then this load would not be added over there. If self weight is considered, then in that case you have to add that load as a self weight, and I am considering here assign to view and selecting assign. Yes. So to all the beams this self weight load is get assigned, right? Then next is uniformly distributed load. Now let's say in the first span the uniformly distributed load is assigned on the first beam and the last beam. So here selecting this, considering the beam 1, then load assigned to the selected beams, you can say assign. Yes. So here you can see the uniformly load will be acting over here. Or the another way, selecting this load, select assign, and you should have to click on the beam on which you want to assign that load, right? So the load will be get assigned over here. Okay, so this is the load case. Then next, assigning the concentrated force. So again assigning the concentrated force, assign, I am selecting the central beam, assign to selected beam, assign. Yes. So here when I am selecting this concentrated force, this load will be get added to the midpoint, because whenever we are adding this force, that we are not defining the distances, so indirectly this load will be get added to this center or the midpoint. If you want to add this load at a distance of 1 meter from this side or any other distance, then you have to define those distances as d1 and d2. For example, if I want to add this at 1 meter distance, then I am putting over here as a 1, change and then close. So now you can see here the load is get shifted to the leftward side at a distance of 1 meter from the point, right? Or further, if you want to add any load particular at any node point, then in that case here in dead load you have to add the nodal load. So if I am adding a nodal load of suppose -5 kilonewton, close, then this load is added. You have to select the cursor. So this is a node, so at this node load will be get assigned. Let's select this, assign, use cursor to assign. So I am selecting the node over here. So this load is get assigned at the point number 3. So in this way you can assign the different type of loads to the given structure. Let's assign this live load also. Save, select assign, then I am selecting this central beam, So here the live load is also get assigned, right? So now when I am clicking over here, dead load, so all the dead loads are gets appeared on the screen, right? Then when I am clicking over here live load, all the live load is appeared on the screen, right? Again, if I want to mention the values of these loads over here, then here right click, you have to select the labels. Over here you have to select the load values, apply. So now you can see over here the values of the loads are shown on the screen, that is -10 means acting in downward direction, -10 kilonewton per meter, then -20 kilonewton, -5 kilonewton, and here -10 kilonewton per meter. So likewise the loads are assigned to any type of structure, right? If I am selecting here the live load, then here you can see there is only one load in the live load, that will be get assigned over here as -5 kilonewton per meter, right? So in this way, here in load case detail, first of all you have to add the main load cases, that is nothing but the dead load, live load, and so on, right? After adding this loads over here in dead load, further you have to click on this add button, and then here you can select any different type of loads, that is nodal load, member load, then if you want to click any floor load, temperature load, wind load, right? So all these different type of loads are get added by considering, and see everywhere a figure is given which can be easy to write down the values of all the different parameters provided over here, right? Then after adding this load, you have to click on this load, and then by selecting any one of these options, that is assign to selected beam or to view, or use cursor to assign, or assign to edit list, you can add these loads over here, right? Now there is one more condition called as a toggle load, right? So here you can see that toggle load over here, right? Toggle load is used for the purpose of, suppose in case of any structure you are assigning any loads, and then you have to remove any particular load, and if that structure is a complicated structure, then if this type of simple structure, then directly you can select and delete that load. But if it is a complicated structure and that load will be get assigned by mistake, and if you want to remove that load, then this toggle load option can be used. So in toggle load, you have to select on this toggle load, and here if I am clicking this F5, then here you have to select the assign, and then click on this arrow button, right? You want just a second, use cursor to assign. So if I am clicking on this arrow, that load is get removed. For example, if I want to remove this concentrated force also, so I am clicking here toggle load, then here considering this assign, clicking on this assign, that load is get removed. Remember toggle load, when you are clicking on this box toggle load, that will remove the load, right? Now here if I am unclick this toggle load and considering this concentrated force, assigning, so here you can see that a concentrated force is provided over there. Similarly assigning, so that nodal load is also get added over there or assigned over there. So remember, this toggle load box is used to remove any particular load, right? So in this way you can do the practice of adding a different type of loads in this load window, and then you are assigning these loads to the different structure, right? Okay, so you do the practice of this load addition of the or assigning of the loads as well as the toggle load command. Then in the next lecture we are going to discuss the different type of load combinations, how it is to be get assigned. Okay, till that, thank you.